Okay, so thank you for joining us today, those that are on this Zoom with us for this amazing interview with Michael and Maryjayne. And I want to thank both of you for being here and just sharing this journey that you both have gone on. First, I'm going to introduce Mary. She is a science research writer who has spent nearly 2 decades studying GcMAF and its potential applications. Her work explores the role of GcMAF in conditions such as cancer, autism, and immune system dysfunction, with a strong focus on both the scientific evidence and the lived experiences of those who it may help. Over the years, Mary has collected data and insight from practitioners across the globe, bringing together a wide range of perspectives to create a clearer understanding of GcMAF and its impact. Through this international collaboration and her own independent research, she has become a trusted voice for individuals seeking help and information regarding immune health. So, Mary, how long have you been working in the natural healing space with GcMAF and other modalities?
Okay, well, first of all, hello everyone. And first of all, I'd just like to explain to everyone, I just like to be very clear, I'm not actually a holistic practitioner by any means. I use whatever works and works best without harming the body. And I've been in this field of work for almost 2 decades now. And mainly I've studied GcMAF and parasites.
Okay. And now, if you could introduce us to Michael and, just briefly explain to us how your paths crossed and what his diagnosis was when he came to you.
So Michael actually came to me. I wasn't actually consulting, as most people probably know. I prefer to teach practitioners, but a mutual friend named Hans actually contacted me. He's contacted me before with previous cases and had very good results with late stage metastatic cancer. And I had a message one day about Michael, and Hans said, could I possibly help? Now, Hans, he's a very good gentleman and he has a little knowledge. So he said to me, he'd advised, I think it was fenbendazole or mebendazole at the time with GcMAF. And he said to me, this gentleman, Michael, who's a 52-year-old handsome gentleman with a lovely smile. His name's Michael Van Zelst. I hope I've pronounced that properly. And so he said he'd been helping as much as possible, but Michael had lung cancer and it was very extensive. And also he had a tumor lodged between the liver and the pancreas. So that's quite a difficult one. But first of all, it's fighting the fire. This gentleman couldn't breathe properly. I think he was panting like a dog, very short breaths. And that means that you're not mobile because you can't walk properly, you can't breathe in and out. We take breathing for granted, and it's only when we can't breathe we start to think about it. So Michael had severe extensive cancer of the lungs, actually. He was coughing, which interrupted his sleep. And I think he was coughing up some blood at one time. It was quite advanced stage. And Hans had told me that he'd been to the hospital, and sadly, they were only able to, there was no curative approach in this instance. But what they could do is help to extend, I believe it was 3 months, their survival rate, help to extend that only, and perhaps give a little bit of extra time. But my concern is that giving a cancer patient extra time is one thing. So you may get 9 months, 10 months, but it's what we're taking away, which is the quality of life. And
Yes.
that's what I'm against, because it's perhaps best sometimes to do nothing than have that quality of
Yes.
life taken away, because chemotherapy, it does work. I do suggest it in certain blood cancers.
Yeah.
But in this, we're talking about this particular case. And in this particular case, it certainly wouldn't have been an advantage. He would have suffered an awful lot, because chemotherapy is the most toxic drug out there.
Yes.
And whether his body could have actually taken that or not. And,
Right.
you know, when we are at advanced cancer, and there's nothing else to offer, these people need to look outside of the box. And that's what he did. I believe this mutual friend he'd met 2 years previously, luckily kept his details. And as soon as he had cancer, he was diagnosed on the 3rd of June this year only.
My goodness.
And he got straight on with the protocol. And I just changed things around. And, you know, nobody has cancer with a good D3 level. So that's telling everybody, whether you've got cancer or not, or whether you're a family member, check your D3 levels. You should keep them between 80 and 100.
Yes. And I do want to say that we are going to hear directly from Michael himself. I just wanted to also ask you questions on your part and what you did. So I just want everybody to know we are going to hear from Michael, and I'm very excited. The next question I had is, could you explain if there was anything that stood out in his case that caused you to do the treatments the way that you did?
Well, it was, first of all, you have to start by fighting a fire. This gentleman wasn't breathing properly, and he was on the decline. He was on the Facebook GcMAF group, which is the group that you host. And, you know, he was appealing for help on there. And so nebulizing comes into mind. And people say, well, why didn't you use the spray? But GcMAF is considered more effective application for lung conditions because of how it delivers the immune supporting protein. It goes directly to the effective area. So when GcMAF is nebulized, that fine mist carries the active molecules very deeply. So that's the reason why. And I think from the first time he used it, actually, because he was at such a late stage, from when he used it, he felt his lungs opening, which is incredible.
That's amazing. And just to clarify, that was with the spray, because I know people are going to ask. No? Okay.
Because this is a cancer. You see, the spray is over 15 mil. So you've got the 7,500 nanograms over the 15 mil.
Okay.
If it was a lung infection, you just a lung infection, and it's a child, then we could use the spray. But in this instance, we're talking a very late stage cancer fighting the fire.
Okay.
We have to use 1,500 nanograms per nebulization time, and that's 10 minutes.
I'm glad that you clarified that. I do also know, just by following his story and his testimony, that you did discuss with him about removing his amalgam fillings, correct?
That was very important, because we also have to consider cause, and we have to take away anything that's affecting the immune system, because there's always going to be that fight. Right, absolutely.
So
his mouth was actually acting like a battery. Every time he chewed, every time he drank anything hot, anything cold, what would happen on a phosphorescent screen? You can see it with smoke, and that's going directly to the brain. That's going through the blood system, and that's traveling all around the body. And there are no safe levels of mercury. And when it's in the mouth, in a laboratory situation, if we were to drop a small drop of mercury, we have to have hazmat suits that.
It's crazy. It's just crazy how, there's still, there are still, I know dentists here in America that still use mercury. And it's just mind blowing to me.
Well, they used to wrap it around the gums, one on top of the other. That's where we get the battery. When we've got one on top of the other, the mouth literally acts like a battery.
Yes. And I wanted to ask you because, not everybody's going to have the same results. And you have worked with so many cancer patients. Can you share why you think he had such great results?
People, I have to be very careful how I answer this. But what I can say is that people from, let's say, the Netherlands, which is where Michael's from, for some reason they follow instructions. And when I say follow instructions, I mean follow instructions to the letter. I think if I'd have said to Michael, eat dog poop, he'd have only said how many spoons.
Yeah. Right. But it was his will to survive and his will to adhere to the protocol.
Absolutely. And following everything. And, people say, oh, I just treated myself a little. I just had this. No, what you're doing is you're not cheating me. You're not cheating the protocol. You're cheating life.
Absolutely. And I do find that is the hardest thing for some people is, the need to give up those things. And usually it's the very things that got them to where they're at and not adhering.
I said to Michael, for example, amalgam fillings, I think there was 6, go and have them removed. Boom, he's booked his flight. I've sent him the dentist. Of course, it was far more expensive in the Netherlands. He had his whole mouth done for what he could have just had a consultation for. Incredible.
That's amazing.
Also, he did have good support. The other thing was he's got a wonderful wife and a superb daughter. And of course, with having that support as well as having somebody like myself, because it's important. Yes. You've got really to check every single, well, not necessarily every day, but you need to know what their poop's doing. You need to know the colour of their urine. You need to ask for blood tests. And how are you feeling today? So you can adjust that protocol, because I didn't know what Michael's protocol was. There's no one size fits all. It was adapting it along the way, basically. There were some things I didn't like that were in the protocol. One was that methylene blue. Don't want to go too much into that.
I know. I agree with you, though. Let me just say that. I agree with you about it.
And it's got side effects. It was unnecessary. Yes. So I'm not going to do anything that's harmful, that's going to compromise his body. It's completely against what we're trying to achieve here.
Right. And I am glad that you mentioned about the support of his wife and those around him, because that is imperative. People need that great support structure to cheer them on, and also to understand and realize that it's a lifestyle change that should happen. And a lot of times it's just so sad, but I've actually talked to people where they don't have that support. And for whatever reason, some people just don't have sometimes that fight in them to just keep pressing on and doing every single thing that they need to do, so the support of others is huge.
I wanted to say something I see on the internet. When one person's got over their own cancer and all of a sudden they can cure every cancer. There's somebody out there, somebody beat cancer. I'm not going into who this is. It's a marketing wheel.
It is.
It really is.
It is. I know
They
what you're
have no
saying.
chemistry skills behind them. When you take one product, it could be interacting with another. That's chemistry. They don't know what pathway things are taking. There is so much involved here. It isn't just somebody's beat their own cancer and all of a sudden they know how to cure the world. Everybody's body is different. We need a lot of analysis, and there is no one size fits all protocol, and it will need changes along the way.
I
So,
agree because I know when my husband was diagnosed with lymphoma, it is overwhelming when number one, people are telling you to do this. And again, it's so true how everyone is so different that not everything is going to work the same for that person. And I know I want to assume it's with good intentions, but I have also seen in the natural health field that it becomes a moneymaker, and that's where it's discouraging, and it shouldn't become that. And again, all the cancers are different, and the people are different. So I appreciate you saying that.
I see quackery on both sides of that financial coin. And
Yeah.
that's why I would never put myself in a box of being on Western medicine or
Right.
holistic, because I see quackery on both sides. I really do. It's
Yeah.
just, there's two sides of that medical coin. And
That is actually
they're
a
both
great way to put it.
greedy, and you just have to go with, consider, not go with. It's about freedom of choice.
Yes.
For me, when we're talking of late stage cancer and there's no other option of a curative measure, this is FDA approved as a
Yeah.
food supplement. However, if we have a look at the people that have used it, there's always been benefit, but
Yes.
it's no silver bullet, of course.
Right. As you and I always discuss, there isn't one silver bullet. And I'm really glad that you said that about how there is quackery on both sides. Some of the suggestions I received for Tom were insane. And he was late stage, and decisions needed to be made, but there is quackery on both sides. And it's just sad because, as you know, when you talk to people when they first get diagnosed, what is the first thing they do? You go to the internet in hopes to find things, and it's overwhelming and it's confusing. And a lot of the times with GcMAF, that might not be something that comes up. So this is why it's so important to have these discussions and hear from people and their incredible testimonies of how it has helped them. I know you mentioned about the nebulizing. Did you want to talk at all about anything else that you felt was a powerful combination that really, because I believe it was within 45 days, he basically was declared no evidence of disease, right?
His blood tests, when his blood tests came back, we saw that they'd normalized. I don't think he's completely out of the woods yet,
Right.
because he's got to continue his repairing his gut microbiome and balancing everything completely back to a normal state.
But he's not in a critical state as he was, I guess, is where.
No, I mean,
Okay.
now he can take a full breath in, a full breath out.
Amazing. That's incredible.
But I keep going on about D3, but it has to be plant-based. If it's not plant-based, we're going to have a problem with the uptake in the cell, and we want to avoid that. So it's all
Yes.
plant-based, otherwise it's synthesized and we will have an issue. But it's their total blood work that we have to be looking at and balancing that. We have to
Right.
look at the vitamins and minerals, the diet. We included some repurposed drugs like fenbendazole
Yep.
and ivermectin, and of course, I had to speak about the emotional side of cancer. That's another thing that we have to discuss. And we have to look at molds, funguses, environmentals, and so forth. There is always
so many contributors. There's just so
Absolutely.
much that contributes. And
I mean, we're
I
looking
think,
at the little fungus, all of these things, you know, because if we don't find the cause, it's not just about Michael B. He's not in a critical state now and he can breathe and all of this. It's about at the end of all of this, we need to find cause. Otherwise, it's coming back.
Right. It's
and we
the
can
long
never
term.
go back to the old lifestyle. I think I always look at this like it's like going back to school again. And Michael, he was a very fit man. He was actually kitchen fit, very strong. Those kitchen units and countertops weigh, you know, a hefty amount.
Right.
He's very skilled at his job and, you know, a very strong man. And then all of a sudden, he's struggling. But I'm sure he's going to tell you all about that himself. So I don't want to cover everything and leave nothing for our smiley Michael there.
I just have one more question for you, Mary, and then I would like Michael to share his story. As an outside observer, how do you think his attitude impacted his healing?
Big. It has a massive impact. He was always very positive, but how could he not be positive from the first time he nebulized? It was like night and day. So that grabbed his confidence, but that's because this is a lung issue.
Yes.
So you feel the impact immediately. And he's never doubted, as far as I know, he didn't doubt himself. The protocol, he couldn't really doubt. He couldn't doubt that. But he's got a 15-year-old daughter. He's got an amazing marriage, and he's full of life. He loves his animals and he loves his cars. We have a lot in common, actually. And he had a lot to live for.
And it sounds like he fought.
Could always vision a future. That's important, a visualization of a future. He didn't become the cancer person, poor me. He was never the victim.
And that is so important because I do know I remember when Tom was diagnosed, when he received, because basically after I had left, the doctor actually looked at him and said, you need to go home and finalize everything and get your things in order. And he told me he remembers in his head saying, no, I'm not accepting this. In fact, I'm stepping in and I'm going to fight and I'm going to overcome this. So that's why I wanted to ask that, because attitude is just as important as following the protocols and the outlook on it.
Absolutely. And of course, having that family support.
Yes.
It is always for me, most people have is less than this, and we focus just on that.
Isn't it crazy?
I say, get your ducks in a row, get your protocol in order.
Right.
Never do anything too fast, go slow. In this case, there was no going slow.
Right.
But normally we do. And then set those little alarms. You get your pills, your potions, whatever you're taking, put it in little boxes, have it with you, set the times on your phone so you're not thinking, oh, I've got to take this for cancer. Everything is cancer. Staying on the internet, doing research. If you do research, I think you'd find that 3 baked beans in a microwave would cure your cancer. I know that sounds ridiculous, but
no, some of the things I've seen
out there, you know, take this pill and whoa, all your cancer's gone, magic. No, actually, there's a cancer die-off.
Yes.
So there's pneumonia that's produced from that die-off.
Yes, there is.
If there was something gold, you know, this pill that you could take and all the cancer gone, and there was actually, but the problem was you die because everything has to be done slowly because of the cancer die-off.
Right.
You know, it has to come out of the body somewhere.
Right.
There's all the repair work after. Because when
Yes.
a tumour's gone, it's used to being in a place. So you have to also repair the damage that it's caused after.
Absolutely. Okay, so Michael, welcome. And I'm just so excited to hear your testimony. So I enjoyed reading what you had written on Facebook. So I am just going to give you the floor. And if you wouldn't mind just sharing your journey. Is he there?
Are you muted, Mike? He's talking, we can't hear him. Should I?
Yeah, he's probably muted, and I cannot do that on my end.
No. At the right corner of your picture, Michael, I think you've got mute pressed.
Hmm. I'm wondering if you're able to
Yeah,
text.
the top right of where you can see yourself, you may have mute pressed.
Should be better now.
There you are.
Yes. You can hear me? Okay.
We can hear you.
Thank God. Well, the thing is, I was feeling a bit short-breathed on a Monday morning, but it had been going on for several months. But now I decide, well, I'll check with the doctors, see what they can do. Maybe it's a cold or something like that. So in Holland, it's really difficult to get an appointment with the doctor. So you go through WhatsApp, and then in the end, they tell you, okay, you can have an appointment today. And I had, and they sent me to the hospital for blood work and for an X-ray of my lungs. So I went there, and as I was going home, the doctor called me and said, well, the picture wasn't good. And I was like, okay. She said, well, I'll give you like a prescription tomorrow, and you go to the hospital to do a different scan. And I told my wife, it doesn't feel good. So I directly called a laboratory in the middle of the land, in the middle of a country. And I went there the next morning to have the Nagalese checked. And as we came home, and literally we arrived, and the doctor called again, and she said, well, I just spoke to the lung physician. He said, you have to go to the ER, bring clothes for 2 days, and you have to go there. So I went there with my wife and my daughter. And when we arrived, like 5 minutes later, I had an IV. They took blood and they put me in a CT scan. And we were like, okay, what was that? We didn't know what was going on. I told the nurses, I asked them, what are you going to do? She said, well, we don't know. We just have to wait. And I said, well, if they want to do like a biopsy or something like a punction, I'm like, I don't want that. She said, well, you can discuss it with the doctor, no problem. So after sitting there for an hour, hour and a half, the doctor came in. He said, well, it's worse than we thought. You've got a really big tumor on your lungs in the upper part. And they found a second one between my pancreas and my kidneys. And he said, you still don't want to have a biopsy? I said, no, I don't want that. I'm not interested. He said, well, you've got like 3 months. I'll get the nurse to pull out the IV and you can go home. And that was the end of the hospital. So I got home and my wife and my daughters were in tears, obviously. And then I contacted Hans because he said to me years ago, if you ever get sick, let me know. I can help you. So I called him, and within an hour he called me and said, you have to go get GcMAF. It's available in Dubai. So I immediately went on the website, bought 10 vials, it was still on the Tuesday. I had them on Saturday the first time. But in the meantime, I started with the ivermectin and fenbendazole the same day. And after 3 days, the short breathness went. It didn't go all the way, but it was getting better. And then on the Saturday, I took my first injection, and then I took the nebulizer, and it felt like my lungs were growing as I was nebulizing.
Wow.
And today I had the 80th injection, and I nebulized for the 80th time. I started working last Thursday for the first time in 12 weeks.
Oh, wow.
I worked last Tuesday because I have to start somewhere, and my contractors are really, really nice people, and they give me all the room to develop what can be developed, and I'm feeling great. They made a PET scan in July, and it showed the mass, and it was like 8 by 6 by 5 inches big. And then when it was in the scan, it was pushing my windpipe almost against my spine. And they were afraid that during the night it would close off my windpipe. So they were already organizing treatment in another city in Holland to put in a tube in my windpipe to prevent it from being collapsed. And it was like, I want to think about it. And with everything they told me, I was like, I want to have the time to think about it myself. And then at night I looked up what the benefits and the negatives were. And in the end, the negatives were bigger than the benefits. People cure from the disease they have, and then they suffer from the tube. And some of them even die. So I called him back and said, no, I'm not going to do it. And he was like, I've never had a patient decline all the help we offer. But I think because I started thinking for myself and declined their help and accepted help from Maryjayne and from Hans, is the reason I'm still here. And Maryjayne has helped me so much. I don't know how I can ever repay her, because every step of the way, when I had a question, I could do this WhatsApp or call or whatever. With the dentist, it was just one simple question, and the next day her secretary was calling all the dentists in Sofia in Bulgaria. So yeah, this really heartwarming. In the end, okay, it turned out we had to go to Istanbul, but again, those people were amazing in the way they helped in every way. And then you'll notice you'll meet the right people at the right time.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah. So the thing is, after I had my experience in my hometown, the doctor, my house doctor, started calling me every week how I was doing. And she said, how are you feeling? I said, well, I'm doing fine. I'm sitting on the terrace with my wife having a cup of coffee. She's like, yeah, but you're supposed to be sick. I said, yeah, that's bad, but I'm feeling great. And they had me ask for a second opinion. That's why they did the PET scan in another town. And the doctor I have there is a lung specialist. He's really good. And he really appreciates my opinion. And he has respect for it. He's not like trying to persuade me to go into the route of the hospital. So yeah. Now, actually, on Tuesday, I have the next, like a thorax picture to see what's left, how big it is.
Right.
Yeah, so really curious how that works out, because I woke up one morning this week and I told my wife, I think it's gone, but it's
Wow.
that's really what my mind tells me.
But also, I can just tell in hearing you and talking to you that a big thing that stands out to me is how you took your health into your own hands.
Yes.
You didn't allow, even though I mean, at least for me, you know, that fear comes when you
Yes.
hear cancer, whether
Yes.
you're the one with it or your loved one. And it sounds like to me, though, you just literally had this drive to fight for your life. You
Yes.
had people surrounded by you that were going to help, but more important, you didn't let fear dictate your decisions,
No.
because a lot,
No.
and I don't mean this against anyone, because trust me, going through the cancer journey, unless you've been through it, you can say all day long, I wouldn't do this or I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
That's all off the table when you're
Yeah.
held a death, you're given a death sentence.
Yes.
And I just want people to be encouraged that you don't have to right away agree to that biopsy. You can take
No.
time to think. And
Yes.
I am curious though, so have any of the oncologists, hematologists, any of the other doctors, have they inquired about what you did and GcMAF?
No. No.
Oh, they haven't?
No.
Oh, oh
Then
wow.
they know I did something alternative. And
Oh,
I told them I did ivermectin, which is like the horse dewormer.
yes.
And they were laughing. That's
Oh
all they
wow.
did. Yeah. And I'm also doing, I don't know if you're familiar with it, Rife therapy, like the
Oh,
frequency therapy. That's
yes,
what,
I actually I have had one for 30 years, and in my group, that's all I talk about, because that is actually what we also use for my husband,
yeah.
along with GcMAF, diet, and other herbs and so forth to
Yeah.
keep him cancer free. And he's going on 7 years.
Yeah.
In his case, it was a blood cancer, as Mary had referenced before. He did not have time for all natural, and he did do chemo, which, asking him now though, if it was like, let's say, God forbid, it was like a stage 1, he said he would never ever do it again. It's
Yeah.
that he would have been dead, because we did a month and a half to 2 months of natural, and I couldn't actually at that time access GcMAF. I definitely know it would have been a different outcome, and it's just something I can't focus on.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But it's astonishing to me they didn't. Well, I guess it's not. I can see why they didn't inquire. They don't want to probably know, and I don't know how much they could even utilize it. Maybe, I don't know.
No. Well, the first time I went to the Rife therapy, all my lungs were like 5s and 6s, the numbers. I went last Monday, it was 2s everywhere, 2s and
Goodness.
1s.
That's amazing.
And
And
she was laughing behind the screen. She said, I've got no work to do today.
wow.
Yeah.
And were you targeting, were you doing parasites?
Also, yes, parasite,
Yes.
cancer cells, everything. Yes.
Yep, they are
And
so closely connected to it. And
yeah.
I know in my husband's case, he had candida. And
Oh.
candida is known to be a potential precursor, however we want to state it. It sets the
Yes.
stage.
Yes.
So, and I think, you know, like Mary was saying earlier, there's still obviously work to be done, you know.
Yeah.
And but this is just amazing to me. And again, it has a lot to do though with your attitude. And like Mary
Yeah.
said, you did every single thing. You didn't question anything.
No. And
I interject, would you mind a second?
Oh no, interject.
yeah.
Sorry, Michael said he's gone back to work. Congratulations, Michael. Really pleased about that. I just need to ask a question. And I know this is live, but I don't want to wait to ask this question. Are you wearing a mask if you're cutting any
Yes.
kind of wood?
Of course I do.
You understand why I'm saying this?
Yeah. I actually bought a box.
Because if I had to kick your butt, I would put
I
my
know.
size 10
You know
steel
where my
toe
house
pants
lives.
on.
No.
Good.
Yes.
Okay, as long as we
With
got
sawing,
that.
cutting, everything, yes.
Yeah. Okay, and it's the correct type of mask.
It's the correct type, yes.
Not one that and the other thing I should have said to Candice, when she said you were a quick responder, you hadn't actually taken the vaccines against COVID. And I do believe
That's a good point.
a big contributor, and I think we'd have forgotten about this. But his immune system was able to fight quite quickly.
Yes.
And I believe that that was because it wasn't compromised by one of the vaccines, which it could lead to immune suppressants.
Yes.
Well, and Mary, do you want to just, speak on that a bit? Meaning, do you notice that those that did take the shots, it's either a longer process or more difficult in the response?
Well, I collate, part of my job is collating material, collating all the data from doctors, practitioners, individual people that are using GcMAF. So, of course, we all have to ask that question, what vaccines have you received? The results are not great. We do not have the same effect. Now, is it that they take longer to respond? Some aren't responding. No matter what treatment we do get, when I say don't respond, I mean, they feel better for a little while.
Right.
You're always fighting. Always.
I asked that because I do have that on my intake form, because I remember asking, I think it was probably 2 years ago, I believe I asked, we have the protocol of the minimum of 3 months. And I remember it was you or someone else said it's actually taking double the time to get the negative levels down,
at least,
if they even go down, which is just devastating. But that is what I had thought.
Also, I can't stress enough about one-to-one consultations, because quite often the biggest problem is that people are using some wonderful products, really wonderful, but when you look at the protocol, it's a bit like a headless chicken, where they've panicked and this is good for cancer, this is this. So you take a huge pile of pills or whatever, and then they drink them with the water. Now, one product can negate another one, and that's a big issue.
Yeah.
We have to be careful, because although someone has cancer, they may have a heart condition. So we have to take into account the drugs in which they're taking for the heart condition. There's a lot of chemistry involved here as well. And that's why I'm never too keen on, I beat cancer, I can cure the world, because they've got no chemistry. I'm not saying that I have the answers to everything, but I go to who does have those answers. I'm not a one-person show. I have neurologists behind me, hematologists, nephrologists. We have them all, and I check. And I check the chemistry, and I double check it. I don't use guesswork. And so when people say to me, oh, how much GcMAF shall I use? I haven't got a clue. I don't know.
I know. It's all individualistic, and I do understand, I have compassion in the sense of it's that desperation, right? It's like, again, when people get that diagnosis, when fear comes in, it's just, it can make people crazy, where you're just constantly searching and looking for what's going to work. And then you find hope that something did work for somebody. But again, like
they jump from one protocol to another. That's not, I've been doing it for 2 weeks. I've still got cancer. I've been doing it for a month. No, you've got to, when you take a leap of faith, once you've done your research, you take a leap of faith, follow it. But I always think you've got to find a leap of faith into someone who's also going to support you.
Yes,
That you
it's
can
important.
and they can reassure you, or, well, they're going to tell you the truth. That's most important. It's not just about reassurance. The one thing I do find, though, you know, with people that have cancer, all of a sudden you begin to live again because you appreciate life so much. It's like a rebirthing in many ways. I don't know. Did you feel that, Michael?
Yes, in a certain way. You start to live more. You start to enjoy life more, and you start feeling really alive because of what happened.
The dust on the table, no matter, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yes, in the first weeks, I was smiling all day, knowing I had cancer. But I was really, really, really enjoying life. One side maybe is because I didn't go to work, so I had a lot of free time. But you start to feel totally different. You start to appreciate everything, people around you, the animal, your wife, your children.
And you see the colors of the grass and the trees.
Yep.
You notice totally different things. Yeah.
That is true. It was a leveler for our family, and I know Tom would say the same, that you know, I can say for myself, there's not a day, honestly, that goes by that I don't look at him and I just, honestly, I thank the Lord that he's still here. Like it brings everything into focus so quickly that you realize when you come out of it, how grateful. And it does change your perspective, whether you're the one going through the cancer, or I'm sure even your wife would probably say that it's made her appreciate you even more in life.
Yes. And this thing is, for me, it's more difficult to see her deal with it than how I deal with it, because she's just a bystander. And she's got no influence in my healing except for what she can do. And well,
being the caretaker.
Yeah, and she's I can say she's one of the best.
Oh,
yeah, she really is. Nothing's too much, food, everything. And obviously I need to rest more. I used to run around the house all day, but now I have to take my my time and just relax for a while, which puts more weight on her shoulders. But I haven't heard her complain the last 3 months. So
I don't think she will be.
Oh, okay.
I think she, I gotta believe she's so thankful and happy. And, you know, it's just, this is just such a beautiful testimony. And do either of you have anything else before we close that you would like to leave the audience with?
I do, actually, because it came to mind, because talking about Michael's lovely wife, also his daughter's becoming a better cook. She's having lots of practice at these new healthy recipes. But, you know, although Michael was the one with the physical cancer, what we mustn't forget here, that his wife has the psychological cancer.
Yes. Yes.
And so we also have to look at, there's never just one patient, there's two. So for me, I also find it important to support the immune system of the wife, the partner, the person, because if we don't support their immune system and check their D3 levels, because of the emotion and the roller coaster of going through this with the partner, otherwise in 3 years' time, there's an email about the partner. We don't want that. So we don't just look at, I didn't just look at Michael, you know, I think we also have to ask more questions all the time about the wife, how's she coping in all of this? She actually decided to have her amalgams removed. So Michael's illness has actually helped the family in many ways, more health conscious now.
And I'm glad you brought up about that, because I know personally, you know, for Tom, it was about 9 months of being the caretaker, and you don't I was just in operation mode. I mean,
Yeah.
I was up all night, researching, trying to find things, and it hit me, I would say, after that. And
Fight
there's
or flight.
yeah, and there's a huge mental component, you're right. So that's just a great thing to mention, because we often forget about the partner, the wife, or even the family of what they're going through as a bystander. So
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah. The thing I like to say, whenever you get the diagnosis, the doctors are always in a hurry.
Hmm.
Don't go in that story. Don't you take your time to
Yep.
just have a good thought about it. Take a few days, because no doctor can tell you since when you've got it. It could have been in your life for years, could be months. So
Right.
why all of a sudden the rush to start treating it?
That's a good point.
That's what we thought. And for me, it all started before COVID. I started reading about getting sick and stuff like that. And like 5, 6 years ago, I knew I was never going to have a chemo treatment, never.
Hmm.
So for me, it was really easy to
Right.
just stand up to the doctor, say, no, I'm not going to do that. And he
Yep.
was really agitated. He was like, okay, then leave. Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
With a straight face. But when you're in fear, you can't do that.
You're absolutely.
And
I
that's,
always tell people fear literally paralyzes you too.
yes.
And it
Yeah.
makes you, like we just said, it makes you make such hasty decisions.
Yeah.
And, I know over here in America, I remember with Tom, you think that, oh, once they diagnose you, they're going to get all this stuff done right away. It took like 2 months. So
Yeah.
that right there tells you, don't buy into that you have to hurry and make that decision.
That's the biggest mistake you can do.
It is, because you're not thinking with a clear mind at
No.
all. It's all fear-based, and that's really good advice. And
Yeah.
a lot more people need to hear that have been diagnosed.
Yes.
Can I just say, I know, going back to the biopsy situation, we do the biopsy to name it Bill, Bob, Jack, Jill, whatever we want to name it.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter when something's growing. It's impeding on the body.
Yes. You know what they tell us
don't
over
need
here?
the name. Oh, I understand with the different kinds of chemotherapy that they
Yep.
want to work
That's
out
what they tell us.
or one
Yeah.
of the 3 new immunotherapies that actually have quite severe side effects, but not as
Yep.
toxic as chemotherapy. But like I said, I'm not 100% against chemotherapy here. I am 100% against, for me personally, a biopsy. And
Right.
that's my personal choice.
Well,
and I
and
can explain why. It's just, you've got a balloon here. The body's quite intelligent. It's collating all of those rogue cells, and it's protecting them by putting them in a bag with a membrane.
Yep.
And then we go in and we pop that, no matter how
Tiny.
minute that needle is, it will allow for a perforation.
Yes, it will.
That's where we can see, if we look at Michael, we've got lung as a primary, and then watch it going down. We've got the esophagus, and then it's gone down to between the liver and the pancreas. We can see the line. And he's
Right.
not had a biopsy, but, with the lung, it is different, obviously.
Yeah.
With the lungs, it's not always contained.
Well, it's interesting because my neighbor had come over 2 weeks ago, and it appears, unfortunately, like she has lymphoma. And they tried so hard to not get a biopsy. And I don't know if it's different here in America than any other country. They told them that they could not offer any treatment until that biopsy is done, because that tells them what type of chemo. And so it's so sad, because
It's a
caged in.
program, Candice.
Yeah, you're
It's
caged
a computer
into that.
program, and you can't go to the next level.
No, you can't.
You can't pass go
No.
to the next level until you've completed this task.
Yep, there's standard care of protocol.
But
Yep.
I this side of the world, if there is no other curative measure, in this case there isn't, then it allows for you to do alternatives. But this word allows you to do something with your own body that's yours.
Right.
Only then they think you can, when everything else normally has failed. And chemotherapy has given you nothing left to fight with.
Exactly. Yeah.
In Michael's case, he hadn't had the chemotherapy. He hadn't had the mRNA vaccines. Although his immune system was severely compromised, he quickly made radical changes.
Yeah.
And with making those radical changes came radical results.
And I do want to add real quick, because I know this is going to be a question. GcMAF can be used with chemo, because I know a lot of people think.
Where it's mainly used, actually, Candice, it's actually mainly used to help the immune system, because chemotherapy isn't able to kill just the bad cells. It kills the good cells as well that are your immune system. So it's not able to separate those two.
Right.
And then your immune system's on the floor, and quite often life is taken from a common little cold.
Yes.
So it's used alongside, and I do find that people actually, for want of better wording here, sail through chemotherapy. They're not losing the hair, and they're not losing as much quality of life.
And that is everything I've heard.
Their families put so much pressure on them to, even though they may not want to say no to, they want to say no to chemotherapy, there's so much pressure by the family.
I see that a lot, and that's actually what also happened with the shots as well. I can't tell you how many people, when they, say yes, they got it, they're like, I didn't want to do it, but my family pressured me. And it is the same with chemotherapy. I've had people where they're just distraught because the family is basically like, not that they're going to disown them, but they're angry. And they're like, why would you not do this? So
it's divided so many families, so many friends. It's another way of divide and rule. The anti-vax, I'm not anti-vax.
Yeah.
I'm anti-doing harm.
Yes.
No longevity of study. The CDC now, everybody's coming out with this, but it's a little too late.
It is. It absolutely is. I agree with you.
1 in 2 people at the moment alive today will have cancer at some point in their lives. How do we come to those figures? We only have to have a look what we're eating. Processed food is carcinogenic. Carcinogenic means cancer causing. It's a complicated word, carcinogenic. Cancer causing, causes cancer.
Yes.
So if you put a little bit of processed food in your mouth, do you want to attract a little bit of cancer? Is that okay?
Nope.
Because it's not cheap. GcMAF isn't cheap, and it may not work.
Right.
It can break your bank. It can cause you to remortgage your home having cancer.
Yeah. Oh, it ravages everything.
Prevention.
Yeah.
For me, prevention. Check your
I agree with you.
GcMAF spray for prevention. I wouldn't be without it, Candice.
I agree. That's part of Tom's treatment. You know that. And we also do yearly nagalase testing. Sometimes it's twice a year, because it's that important. And for us, it's a reasonable price to pay in order to
prick of a finger, Candice. A prick of a finger and you've got your results
Yeah, it
within a
truly
few
is.
minutes. Okay, you need your glasses on. You have to make sure those little drops go in the hole, because
Yes.
some people
Mary?
can do. It didn't work. What do you mean it didn't
know.
work? Send me a photo. It's only got blood on. It's completely dry. It's like a blotting paper.
Well, you know,
It
I've
can't
had
not
four.
absorb. It's human error.
I agree with you. And it's easy. And I just wanted people to know that in incorporating GcMAF, even let's say with chemo, it is only going to benefit the person because it does help their immune system and it will help them to get through it.
Harm. There are no
There's
side
none.
effects.
There's absolutely none.
The
So
only thing
why would you
against
not?
people is financial sometimes.
And I do understand that it's because again, cancer ravages everything. Like if you have, you know, the breadwinner and they're taken out, it's just difficult. But I will say, I know a lot of people that they wound up doing GoFundMes and they were able to raise the money for.
Crowdfunding.
Yes, a friend of mine did a GoFundMe for us because we were doing a lot of other natural therapies that were not covered. So there can be a
People say
way.
I'm too embarrassed. Well, when you're sick, all as anybody says to you is there anything I can do? It's not
Yeah.
all about you.
Right.
It's about people being able to do something to make them feel better.
Yes.
Allow your friends, your family, colleagues, work colleagues to feel better, that they're able to do something to help you.
Absolutely.
Because you feel that their hands are tied. They want to do something. So
Yes.
it's an exchange, you know. They're feeling good about being able to do something. Don't deny people.
I agree with you 100%.
Be able to help.
I agree with you because it can really take away them wanting to bless you and you receiving that blessing. And it wasn't, you know, somewhat, I don't know if humiliating is the right word. I mean, obviously it was a very low point, but I cannot tell you how much it meant that it encouraged the person going through that cancer to know that
Feeling
people.
the love.
Yes, it's love. It's feeling the love, knowing that this is a hiccup in their life. They're, you know, gonna get through it and they're gonna be able in turn to also bless somebody else.
And all of these people behind me, look how wonderful. And it's people, quite often you find that it's the people that you know quite well and you think, oh, they'll help. Quite often it's not those people. It's the ones that you think, oh, you know, they don't like us or whatever, but they're the ones that come through. What the silent person in the background comes through, the Superman or the Superwoman to save the day.
I agree. I agree. Well, I know we could probably talk for another hour. I just cannot thank you both for sharing your story. And Michael, I am just so thrilled at how you're doing. And I'm going to be continue praying for your continued healing. And I know it's going to happen. And, you know, many of you know that Mary has been my mentor now for, Mary, how long has it been? 7 years?
I was in Belize, I believe, at the time.
I think it's been about, and because you know you worked with Jeff and that, and I just want to thank you for all you do, all you continue to do, for taking me under your wing, and just I learn from you all the time, and I appreciate you
Pop a
both.
little link in here, Candice, for if anyone did want to reach out to me.
I'm not absolutely
saying that I can personally help everybody with one-to-one advice, but I know that you'll help where I can't on the parasitequeen.com. There's a little link there where they can actually reach out.
Yes, and I will put that.
Put your information under there as well.
Okay. And what I'll do is this is recorded. So we're going to have this in all of our groups. And again, I just thank you both so much.
And thank you, Michael, for being a wonderful student.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, Candice, and thank you everyone for listening. Hope we didn't waffle too much and you got some good information there to move forward. I
think they did. All right, you guys, take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.